So, gender issues and digitalization in musical career. We can say that it can be considered a crucial hotspot in the broader debate on digitalization and then gender. A very interesting analysis from the Equals research group led by the United Nations University shows that a gender-digital divide persists irrespective of a country's overall information and communication technology access levels, economic performance, income levels, or geographic locations. Women are thus underrepresented in the digital revolution across high, low, and middle-income countries, despite the possibility for getting up a greater equality. Gender inequalities in digital literacies, the digital skills gender gap, and the limited number of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics programs are well known. And also the masculine cultural association with the STEM education and related gendered identities, stereotypes, and bias. The masculine contribution of computing expertise led to a gendered digital computing culture, shaping gendered spaces across the educational life course, as well as also the workplace. And especially for the last, point, we can refer to the Margolis and Fisher's research in 2002. And scholars, in fact, have identified 6 main barriers to gender digital equality. And they are the same that we recognize in the very low number of women students and women teachers in the Department of Electronic Music or of Applied Music to movies and so on. And barriers are availability of infrastructure and financial constraints, information and communication technology skills, ability and attitude, interest and perceived relevance of the information and communication technology skills, safety and security, and last, social, cultural, and institutional content. As the technologies become more expensive and sophisticated, the report observes the gender-digital divide widens in a certain way. The relationship between music career and digitalization is so evident nowadays because technological innovations transform the way all kinds of music is performed, recorded, produced, distributed, and consumed. It expanded the creative artistic possibility, supported the creation of new musical styles, and changed the consumer's listening habits. The traditional 3-part segmentation of the music industry into publishing, recorded music, and live music has had its day because another one has been added to these traditional industries. And it's a 4th line of production and sale known as music tech. The music tech sector is well developed all over the world, and we can say that alongside of major international streaming players known to the general public, such as YouTube, Apple Music, Facebook Live, Twitch, Amazon, and TikTok, Spotify, there are also lesser known entities working in the sale of music catalogs and or as digital or physical distributor in the field of synchronization for cinema and advertising. Yet there are relevant points to unreveal. While digitalization concerns most people in the world today, many observations show an equal social participation in the use of digital tools and practices in music. Inequalities that are often called a digital divide or digital gap in the musical sector as well. Some social inequalities that already existed prior to digitalization are perpetuated throughout the processes of digitalization, as it's clearly exemplified by the steady low quota of women among music producers, less 5% with regional variation in European countries. While this topic involves complex scientific and social debate, my reflection started from the following point. What relevance does gender have in the processing of learning, participating in communities, and professionalization in music sector with the digital tools? My contribution is, a kind of explorative approach and introduce, an impulse to reflect. Beginning in 2014, the European Commission started to collect data from its 28 member states' comprehensive dimension of digital skills, reflecting the new framework for a digital competence framework for citizens. It measures digital skills for different categories: information, communication, problem solving, and soft skills. Apart moderate gender gaps exist, disfavoring women in the first two categories. The gap is more evident in the other ones. Problem solving and software skills indicate that European women are generally less skilled than men in handling compute or mobile application, managing data, using internet for learning and business, or creating software and digital content, and music as well. According to the 75th report of the Union of Industrial and Employers Confederation of Europe in last June 2022, gender, digitalization, and environment can ensure a sustainable future for all. And the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and several of its target point to the potential of digital technologies to contribute to sustainable development and acceleration of human progress. However, digitalization is not gender neutral. The adoption of digitalization is a fundamental element in breaking down the gender gap in the music sector, as it favors access to education, information, trainings, and job opportunities to women as well as to for people belonging to the LGBTQ plus community, particularly for those who in their home countries are excluded from many of the formal, informal, and not non-formal education, training, and information content. As we can see in this source from the UNESCO Institute for Statistics, we can say that the women, they choose education, health and wear, art and humanities, social science, natural science, STEM, ICT, and engineering, and all this kind of percentage. But if female students choose education as their first field of study and art as the third, and therefore become teachers, but they do not acquire advanced digital skills, how can digitalization bridge the gender gap? Researchers have found that leadership position cannot be separated from digitalization. And so, for example, only the 40% of the whole workforce of the live music sector in Europe are women, based on data from Belgium, Denmark, Finland, France, the Netherlands, Spain, and Sweden. However, the repartition of professionals is highly gendered. While women comprise only the 28% of management position and 20% are engaged in production in Netherlands, the situation is similar in France, where women assumed the 15% of management position. And a recent study from the USC Annesberg Foundation examined 3 creative roles in music and found that women comprise 21.7% of artists, 12.3% of songwriters, and merely 1%. Really, 1% is really incredible of producers. The framework of musical career is constantly changing. I would like just to mention the LoLA, low latency mode, that is a feature allowing musicians to reduce the delay between their performance broadcast and their viewers, their audience. These features let musicians to respond more quickly to their rehearsals when they are far from each other, or when a music public performance involves musician in presence as well as online, enhancing closer interactions between broadcasters and their community. As digitalization incorporates the process of adapting all business models, live classic musical in concert hall, for example, to new technologies, concert using LoLA, as I have already mentioned, and embraces digital technology's potential to collect data, identify patterns, and make smarter creative as well as business decisions. If gender gap is strongly persistent, this will impact on the leadership, preventing the most important summit positions. The approach to live streaming is not an exception, and its usual mode in the music industry involves the performance on the one hand and the audience on the other. But with the LoLA, we have a kind of a ramification of a music performance itself, as LoLA can be inspiring for online and distance learning too. Mobile learning, virtual music classrooms, massive open online courses, virtual learning environment. The digital gap can be closed in formal, informal, non-formal education environment, but if the digital gap in the higher music education institution, Conservatory, Music Hochschule, music academies, music departments in university is not closed. Many people, starting with women, will remain just consumer and will never reach the top position or even the creative ones in the music sector. So I would like to, to reflect also on this kind of question of what actions we can need to fill the gender gap in digitalization in music sector. The next step to go forward in this can be design and implement gender responsive digital skills programs to enable leaders to transition to digital related or digital enabled employment in music sector, education, third mission, industry, entertainment. Adopt and implement policies favoring co-design models in the development of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and other digital and e-governance tools for gender experts in music sector. Create supportive policies and training for gender expert entrepreneurship in digital technologies to enhance their opportunity in music sector. Develop and implement ethical and privacy standards and protocols in the digital space, and enhance the involvement of gender experts as leaders in music sector. Implement mandatory digitalization training courses at the higher music education institution to evaluate, re-engineering and reinvent the way to make music. Before concluding, I would like to share a kind of case study, we can say, with you. And it's concerned with empowering women music entrepreneurs with the digital skills. In the last 3 years, I've been the project manager of an international project under the frame of the Erasmus Plus Program Action Strategic Partnership, co-funded by the European Union. And the project named Music Map, the acronym of New Employability, with aims self-leadership in music academic programs, with a focus on the gender issues in music career. This because there is also a severe women underrepresentation problems in music sector entrepreneurship. With the 5 partners, the Conservatory of Music Santa Cecilia in Rome as a leading institution, the European University Cyprus in Nicosia, Cyprus, the Royal Irish Academy of Music in Dublin, Ireland, and the Yashar University in Izmir, Turkey, and the network AAC in Brussels, Belgium. We carried on research, surveys, interviews, questionnaires, and then, among other learning teaching activities, we addressed an intensive programs for students in which they, most of all women, learned how to create content for blended learning and for their own brand. Vlogs, blogs, podcasts, programming tools, digital platforms, and website. After that, we launched the call, and this was for the restyling of the Music Map website. And a woman, a student from the Yashar University in Izmir in Turkey, won the prize, and she realized a very fresh and attractive website for our project. Finally, I can say that the gender-based digitalization inclusion in music sector must be located first within broader structural trend and institutional education changes. Of course, starting from the higher education institution, of course. And thank you for your attention.